Welcome to Untamed and Prosperous. I'm Dr. Natasha Nelson, your life doctor. So if you followed any of my other videos or kind of hear what I have to say, you may have heard me talk about the Untamed Heart. And yes, that's the name of my digital course, it's to purchase access. But I want to talk about how I came about that name, the Untamed Heart, and really about how I became an untamed woman and how this whole process of living life untamed came to be. So I grew up in a very chaotic home. My dad was an alcoholic and my mom was emotionally very shut down. And as a young child, I didn't know how to cope with, chaos. I didn't understand it. So for me, I just shut down and I withdrew, and I wanted to make myself as small and as invisible as I could possibly make myself and not be seen, not be heard. And I really grew up like being in a place of making sure to watch other people, watch for the signs, watch for what other body language or cues that I could pick up on that I felt would make me unsafe, especially with my father, my mom. They're different personalities, but I learned how to survive by watching their body language and the cues to know when it was safe and when it was not. And in shutting down, what I understand now, it's easy when I look back, but it was a way to cope. And I took it in such a deep place where it really became how I operated. So my entire operating system in childhood and even through high school, was really about, I didn't really show up, not really as myself. And growing up in the 70s, biracial wasn't particularly acceptable, and people were very clear and made it known when they were not happy about it, And that's okay, that was my soul's desire to be born in this body at that time. But what I learned in coping was also learning how to listen to the questions that people would ask and how to answer them according to what I believed they wanted to hear. So I never gave answers based on, well, this is what I like or what I want. And I stopped even thinking about, well, what is it that I like or I want or what's important to me? What are my ideas or my opinions or anything? Because the answers I would give, it depending on who was asking and what answer would I believe they wanted me to say and what they wanted to hear that would make them happy. And so part of the big coping of what I've learned, and what I went through is I became a people pleaser. I just, okay. And I really didn't have, boundaries, and I just, okay, I'll do what I'm supposed to do or what they want me to do. And I did all of that to fit in and to just to blend in, to fit in, and combination of all of that really brought me to a place where I realized how invisible I was. And I wanted it that way because to me, in my mind, being invisible meant I would fit in. I would blend in. And more importantly, that's how I felt safe. I felt safe because if I didn't stand out, I wouldn't be hurt. If I didn't stand out, nobody would attack me or prey on me or harm me in some way. And those were all of the childhood beliefs that, based on the circumstances of how I grew up, that's how I learned to survive. And that's what I continued doing because that's what I learned, and it was working. And I through high school and tried through college and even after that, until the time came when my life just fell apart. And everything that I had created and the safety of the image that I crafted. Some of it was honest, what I loved about being a doctor and having a practice and being a mother and being an athlete, all of those things that were me, but I created this space that I thought would create the perfect bubble to keep me safe because I presented in a way that made other people, I felt, they wouldn't judge me. And when all of that fell apart, I was left with, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Like, what do I do now? And I was terrified. And I knew I was going to have to rebuild my life. I had to start over. But I also knew I wanted to rebuild it differently. I didn't want to go back to the way it was and what I had. I felt trapped and I felt caged and I felt incomplete and I wasn't even all of me. I was just doing what I felt obligated to do, what I was supposed to do. And so in the process of, rebuilding, I had to start asking questions of myself, like, well, do I like this? Is this something I even want? And I don't know, what do I want? What do I like? What matters to me in my heart? And as I started doing that deep inner work and really deep soul searching, I started to find all those things in me that I didn't even know I liked, and some things that I realized I really love and about me. And I want myself to, just be more of myself. And there are things I realized, I don't like this about me, and I don't need to continue those behaviors. I remember playing volleyball one day and I was just out there and dancing and having a good time and just dancing, and I felt free and I was laughing and having a good time. And, growing up, people would call me a zebra, and they meant it in a derogatory way. Oh, look at the zebra. Oh, the half and half girl, the Oreo, but zebra was what I remember. And on the day I was playing volleyball and dancing and having a good time, I was laughing with my friends saying, hey, look at me now. I'm a dancing zebra, because I was happy and free. And I started crying because it resonated so much with being happy. And the dancing zebra was happy. And I loved it. And I remember there's something about that zebra that just kept calling to me. And I was I was like, okay, that's fun. I can, it's a fun little, caricature or spirit animal. And then I really started to look at it. And I said, let me look at the zebra, the actual zebra, and let me do some investigative work on this zebra. And now I understand why I loved it so much. People look at horses and they're like, oh my gosh, the horses are amazing and they can win a triple crown and they're fast and they're gorgeous. And, people look at zebras like, they're a little bit smaller than the horses. Like, they're not going to win a race. And while that might be true, the zebra's like, yeah, I know. I don't want to win a triple crown. The zebra's like, I know. I don't really care. The zebra's like, I have my own cool stripes that nobody else has, because the stripes of a zebra are all individual, like fingerprints. But really, the zebra's like, I don't even want a mane, because I don't want people, braiding my hair and combing my hair. Zebra's like, I have a mohawk, like it, The zebra, though, is untamable. What do I mean by that? Oh, people have tried to put a saddle on a zebra to ride it, or to hook a carriage on it to pull and haul, and the zebra wants nothing of it. And that's really when it resonated and hit me of feeling untamed, because realizing all the obligations and demands and everything that I was creating in my life was not meant for me. Now, there are things that I've kept because they are me. But the process of going through every single part, was it an obligation? Was it a demand? Was it somebody else's idea that I was just agreeing with in order to feel safe? So over the last, years, decade really, finding out who I am, finding out my identity, my stripes, everything came to that place of being able to sit in all of who I am, half black, half white, French, all of these parts of me, So now when people talk to me, or we're having conversations, or people ask me questions, I really think about it and go, well, what do I think about that? What is my opinion? How do I feel about that? And then I'll share it. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, that's my heart. And that's the untamed heart. The freedom and the peace that comes with taking everything about who I am and really, really who I am, and bringing that forward and sharing in the work that I do with the people that I get to be with. And as I share and I really get to that place and go, oh my gosh, my heart is free and my heart is able to connect. And that is the untamed heart that I get to live with, that I want to share with you. And also help you find that place where you can feel free to find out who you are, what makes you you, how would you answer questions based on your ideas and beliefs and opinions, and really, really, truly get to the place where you go, man, I really like who I am. I love the journey I've been on to get here, and I really love the place that I'm at now. And I hope you find that place too. So thank you for listening to my story of how the untamed heart came to be, how I became an untamed woman, and everything about the zebra icon that you see everywhere. That's what that really means and why it's there. So again, thank you for listening. If you want to help me with the algorithms, of course, I love comments, I love likes, I love shares, and I appreciate all of it. So thank you so much. And until next time, live life untamed. Bye.